Welcome back. In this video we're going to begin to look at the skills needed to create your own maps. More specifically, we're going to give you an overview of how to get into that environment and what the controls themselves do. Now you may remember from a prior video that in order to access most of your controls you're going to use the hamburger up here once you're at Google Maps. And in this case you're going to go to Your Places. Okay, so you have your labeled places, your saved places, your visited places, but you also have maps. So clicking on that will bring down a list of the current maps that you have. There'll also be a link for See All Your Maps, and that's in case you had more maps than would comfortably fit in this view. If I had 20 maps, I could click here and I would see all of them instead of just the first 7. And there's also a link for Create a Map. Now, if you know right away you'd like to just make a new one, you could use this link. But if we'd like to look at your other maps, let's click this link here. Now you can see in this case I have a series of 6 different maps. It's giving me a thumbnail view, which is very nice. And across the top I have some options for viewing. So these are maps I own, which means these are maps I've created. Okay, if I were to click the second link, it would say, where it says not owned, these are maps that have been shared with me. Okay, so right now I have one map that's been shared with me that I didn't create, but that I can access. Shared would tell me maps that I have shared with other people. Recent is just obviously the more recent maps that I've looked at or worked on, and because I don't have a tremendous amount of maps, it's showing me all of mine. And then there's also this Explore section. Now in the Explore section, these are just examples of maps that Google thinks are worthy of looking at, or just good examples. So this is, let's see, historical and educational tour of Boston. So let's click on that and see what happens. Okay, it opens in a new tab, and you can see there are different things that have been added to this map. There are these lines. If I click on these points, well, this map isn't particularly well developed. This one is showing MIT. This point is just point B, so I guess you'd have to know what it was you were looking at here on this particular map. And I can, I can close that here. And you can see that's been added to my not owned simply because I looked at it. So I really don't want that here. I don't see a lot of value in that particular map. So I can use this drop down to say remove from view. And let me do that to the other map as well. Now the other option you have is to look at all. So this would just be a compilation of maps that you owned and maps that have been shared with you, basically. So if I come back to my owned maps, you'll see that each map now has different controls up in the top corner. The first is to share, and you can see that you can share through Google+, Facebook, Twitter, share via email, or get embed code. Let's look at that one. And this is code that you could paste into a web page that would make the map appear right on that web page. We'll look at that in more detail later. Other options you have over here, because this is a map that I own, instead of removing from my view, it's going to actually move it to the trash or delete it. So I could make a copy of it. Perhaps I have a map, but I'd like to make a variation of that, but preserve the first one. You would use copy, or simply open in a new tab. Now if I click open in a new tab, it brings me to this view where I get this nice set of tools to work with. So here are a set of tools here that we'll look at in future videos, and this set of controls over on the left. Okay, and that really concludes all the options you have for maps, and in future videos we'll look at how to create them.